Do you remember the teardown video of salvaging parts from that coffee pot? Because this is what happened. It's been a long time, but I introduce you to coffee pot date night. When I started breaking that coffee machine apart, I thought this would be perfect. If you want to see how this was built, stick around and I'll show you, but right now, I'm just gonna get to cooking. What we're gonna do is figure out if sous vide steak is really worth it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've already done this before with kind of thin steaks, and the outcome was lacking luster. I mean, yeah, it got an even temperature, but nothing to write home about if you write home about steaks. I'm gonna try it again with a little bit thicker steaks. We're gonna cook it together. What are we gonna do? We're gonna put the steaks in the bag, and then we put the bag in here, and then how long are we gonna leave it for?
2 hours.
2 hours at what temperature?
130.
And what are we gonna put in the bag with the steaks?
Seasoning. Salt, pepper, rosemary, garlic.
All right. Put the steak in the bag. Oh yeah, and we're gonna finish them on a skillet. We're gonna do that. All right, let's get started. Here's some of the stuff we're gonna be using. One of these is grass-fed, and then one of these is half the price, so whatever they're fed with. Brandy, do you mind helping me? Because it's like already kind of late. Salt those steaks. Okay. We're just gonna cover them with salt, a lot of salt, like a gross amount kind of. How do you feel about a date night that you have to work for? Is that fun? What is your guess on, is this better than any other steak?
I don't think it's going to be better because I like steak off a grill with the grilled taste.
We're still going to sear it. We're going to sear it in a pan.
We're going to sear it, but I like it off of an actual grill. And then, look at you being all safe.
Okay. Rosemary on the steak. I sprinkle some garlic on one side of this one.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna flip it over. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side.
Save some garlic for mine.
You can chop your own garlic.
I hate chopping garlic.
This ain't a cruise. This ain't the omelet station. Okay. Steak. I usually mince it more than this. Just real quick, just another.
Good job.
Let's go over to the sink. We wanna sip it up most of the way. The air inside the bag goes to the top, and then you let out.
It's like science.
Applied science. Okay, your turn. You do yours. Next, we put them in the bath at, what are we gonna do? You said like 1:30. 1:30. 1:30 for how long?
2 hours. Okay,
first we set it at 1:30. It's currently at 1:13, 1:14. Another one. Yes. While we wait on these steaks to finish, I want to show you the steps that it took to bring the coffee machine parts into what is now the sous vide machine. And that is right over here. The first part from the coffee maker is the heating element. So I did have to buy one part. I had to buy this pump. I got it on Amazon. It was $20, and I needed a pump that could handle pumping hot water. And if you see what it's mounted to, this is some steel that I welded screws onto and welded these little rods onto. The back side of the bracket, putting these together, lets it mount on the side of a pot. A little bracket to keep the heating element in place, and then the control box I printed with a little hole on the back side so that it would sit on there. And on the back I've got a little opening that I left to be able to program the Arduino, the power in for DC power, and then I left a little slot to run the power cord that was also from the coffee maker. There's a little edge there so that it sits on the lip of the of the bracket, a hole for the leads on the heating element, and then this is the hole for the screw on the bracket. Inside, so we got the screen, and then the wiring for the buttons, and Arduino. This drives the DC motor, and a little plug for the relay. So the Arduino just sends a little signal through this cable to tell the heating element when to switch on, which is controlled by these wires. So it was a little involved, and there were a couple of things that I had to buy, but I'm still pretty proud of how it turned out, and it works. All right, we're gonna jump ahead 2 hours in the future, back to the kitchen. Okay, 2 hours, let's look. It looks pretty unappetizing. To finish on the skillet, get the broomstick ready to bat the smoke alarm off the ceiling. We'll see. The smoke definitely triggered our fan, but let's look at the cross section of these steaks. Medium throughout, which was about what we were looking for.
I was shocked at the difference in the texture of the meat, and there's definitely the pricier grass-fed one has a much softer texture and it's not as chewy.
Now, do you feel that the method of cooking, of preparation, is worth it? Buying a sous vide machine to cook the steak this way.
I personally would not purchase a sous vide machine. I just don't think there was a big enough of a difference from the traditional way for me to purchase it.
I would say that if you are finicky about the doneness of your steak and you like to eat thick steaks, on thin steaks, I think that it doesn't make enough difference because there's not enough meat. I think it's worth it because of the consistency. If you're cooking one steak yourself, I think you can dial it in, on a grill, fine. If you're cooking steak for more than one person, that's where it gets difficult, finding 2 or 3 spots that have even temperature. It solves that problem. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. See you next time.